I wonder, will we ever see each other again?
Who knows? God willing, we'll all meet again in Spaceballs 2 to search for more money.
I'm here, bitches! And I brought favors for everybody!
People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back!
We're putting the band back together.
Forget it. No way. We're on a mission from God.
Greetings, programs and users. It is time for another episode of Old Nerds Drinking. This is John Patrick, your Master Control program, and I'm here again with Rojan.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And we are Old Nerds, and we are drinking.
We are drinking at a distance today. I am recording from my home with Skype, and we're doing this over Skype as opposed to being in person for a change. You just want to jump right into it, or do you want to wait?
Well, I was going to say, first, as we start off every episode, what are you drinking?
Oh, I am drinking my, what's left of my apple pie moonshine that I made. It's really, really good, but I'm getting down to the bottom of it. I made it a little bit different this time. I actually put, Saunders caramel topping into it. When I was cooking everything up, I dumped a whole bunch of caramel topping in it to give it a caramel apple moonshine effect. The problem when you're drinking homemade apple pie is that all of the spices and everything, unless you shake the container up every time you drink it, everything settles down to the bottom as it goes. So now the stuff that I'm drinking, I can look at the glass and I can see all of the cinnamon and all of the spices and everything. So it's a much richer tasting, fuller bodied experience. So
fuller
that's
bodied.
what I'm drinking. Yeah, fuller bodied apple pie experience at this point. The caramel worked really good in it, though. I'm definitely going to be doing that again at some point.
Okay. I first off have to start with story. So right now it is the third week of January. We have not been together recording since the last week of December when we did, or actually no, it was right after the weekend after Christmas when we recorded the super mega crossover episode.
Yeah, no, because we weren't even together with that. We were both we were all recording remotely on Skype with Jake and Tom. So I wasn't actually in studio with you on that one either.
Yeah. In that time, I had a cousin who passed away. Somebody in my family I was very close to. He and I were always the two weirdos. My cousin Michael and I. He was the one who, when I was in my teens, got me into all of the paranormal stuff. He gave me my first record collection and my first record player. He is the one who would talk with me about the Paul McCartney death hoax. He was the one who I would talk to about insanely specific watches and my various idiosyncrasies about that. And so he was a good guy, and he passed away very suddenly. So we were going through some of his stuff, and I found a couple of bottles of Bundaberg ginger beer from Australia.
Ooh.
Yeah. And specifically, this is the only reason I knew what this was because this is one of Adam Savage's favorite ginger beers, and he's drinking it all the time in his videos. Mm-hmm. So tonight, in my cousin Michael's honor, I took one of those bottles of ginger beer and made myself a nice little gin mule out of it. So that's what I'm drinking right now. And it is damn tasty.
I'm sorry to hear about your cousin, though, but I was following the progress of the story on Facebook as you were posting stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, that's one of the things I was dealing with, and that after the funeral for him, that rolled right into my daughter testing positive for COVID.
Now, did you catch COVID or just your daughter?
Okay, so it started, his funeral was on the 2nd of January. January 5th, my daughter woke up. She was having body aches. She was running a 101 fever, runny nose, cough. So I gave her some Motrin. By the end of the day, she was down to a normal temperature. Only the other symptoms, so mild cough and runny nose. So I called my pediatrician. Pediatrician says, well, come in and get a COVID test. That was Wednesday. They couldn't get us in to do the COVID test till Friday. So got the COVID test Friday, and it was the 3-day test. Following Monday, we find out she was positive for COVID. Now, nobody else in the house had symptoms. She never had symptoms past that first day, but it was like the gold standard 3-day test, so she did officially have it. So we were on quarantine for 10 days from her first day of symptoms, which put us to the 15th. And yeah, it was a very, very mild case. Nobody else in the family had symptoms. They said, we don't really need to test anybody else in the family unless they have symptoms. But we were at a funeral with other people who were all masked, and that was the only time we had left our house. So anybody can get it, and you can get it even when you think you're not going to get it. And then just because you get it doesn't mean the symptoms are going to be mild. So it was not something I fucked around with. We were very careful to make sure we quarantined as long as the doctor told us. And knock on wood and praise be to the dude, everything was fine.
You are the third person that I know of who has had a COVID situation directly in their immediate household where the person who had the COVID was not that bad. They had mild symptoms and the rest of the family didn't catch it. But likewise, I've also, like me and you have both, we both know people that have lost people, and I myself have lost somebody. So it's kind of one of those things. And it sucks. This is something that me and you were talking about before the show. The last couple of days, I have had this sinus headache because the snow is coming in, and I also, you get tells like if you have broken bones and stuff, you can tell when it's going to rain or when it's going to snow.
when you get past like 35, at 35, you just develop this body part that predicts the weather. With me, it's my knees. When my knees start to ache really bad, I know it's going to be wet and cold.
Same with me. I've got a bad left leg. It needs to be replaced and stuff. But the thing is now because of COVID, if you have any kind of symptom that's not of the norm, the process goes through your head. Oh shit, is this it? Do I have COVID? If I have COVID, is it going to take me out? What's going to happen? So you're sitting there and then you start questioning, like second guessing. Am I running a fever? What's going on here?
Yeah,
it just sucks.
I live in Michigan. I've lived in Michigan pretty much my whole life. I mean, I am just used to the fact that from November till about March, my nose is going to be runny. I'm going to wake up in the morning with a sore throat, and I'm going to be coughing a little bit for that entire time period. But now it's like, oh crap, is it COVID? Like, shit, do I have COVID? Yeah. It's like, oh no. But my sister, her family caught it, and like, everybody in the family was dog sick. Nobody was hospitalized, thank God. But everybody was achy. Everybody lost their sense of taste and smell. Mm-hmm.
Our boy Josh, he caught it earlier in the year, and him and his wife caught it, and he was down for a good 3 weeks. I mean, it took him out bad. There's other people that get it that, they don't. And then you got the people that are asymptomatic. I don't know. I'm not going to go political, but I'm just glad that there's hope now to get this stuff going. And it's like, all right, how soon can I get my vaccine? Fortunately, if it works right, I will be in round 1B because I've got high blood pressure and a bunch of other overlaying health problems. So that kind of puts me up on the list. But there's no fucking vaccines out there. So, yeah. It's like, Oh,
I was going to say, my kid, like every time it comes up on like TV or something, my daughter's like, I don't want to get the vaccination. I'm like, you don't have a choice. You're a minor.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to walk in and be like, look, here's a tattoo in my arm. Use it as a bullseye. Let's do this shit.
Let her rip.
Community. I'm going to be one of the assholes that gets there and gets the selfie with a needle going in my arm with a big ass smile on my face. That's going to be me.
Oh man, I know a couple of people who have gotten it already, and like the first thing they do is post the picture of their immunization or vaccination card, and I'm like, you lucky bastards.
It's funny. I saw somewhere like that's a thing on Tinder now. Like people go on Tinder, they put their they'll put their profile picture, and then they'll put a picture of their vaccination card. Like, hey, I'm legit.
I'm safe. I'm safe.
I'm safe and I'm open for business. Let's go. Like me, because I'm supposed to be going on a trip out to Vegas in May. I've got to do. There's a job out there that I'm going to be going and doing a side job on, and I've got another friend. I've got two friends that need me to like help them move immediately, and they're both out of state. So I'm like, ugh. So, I'm like, how soon can I get this vaccination? And once I get vaccinated, I'm still going to continue to wear my mask, but I know what's going to happen. I'm going to become a lot more sloppy about things because I'm going to be like, well, I'm immunized, but I'm still going to wear my mask. I'm still going to be the guy that goes out and does the right thing or whatever. I'm still, just because I'm immunized, people aren't going to know that, and I don't want to be the guy, I'm immunized, I don't want to be that dude, so I will play nice and do what I have to do. But it's like this vaccine cannot get in my arm fast enough because there's so much stuff that I have to do, just me and you. I want to get back to gaming again. Like our boy Banjo Jones. I was talking to him, and we really want to play Gaslands again. Like we want a game bad. I've got this fantastic.
Oh
game
man, and I was gonna say, one of the miniature gamers I follow has been talking about some other Osprey games, like people who publish Gaslands. They have a few other miniature games I recently found out about that sound super interesting, and I'm very close to ordering a copy of the core books just to kind of see what they are.
What kind of games are they? Are they military games? That's the thing about Gaslands is you can take Matchbox cars, convert them, and you're essentially playing Car Wars. It is the cheapest miniatures game you could ever possibly want to get into, but
one of the games is called Zone Alpha, and it is based on a Russian short story collection that's called, I think, like A Day at the Picnic. Mm-hmm. But what it's about is it's about this alien invasion that comes, and the aliens like leave behind all kinds of crazy artifacts, and then the aliens just leave. So all the Earth's kind of now a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and there's these exclusion zones around these alien artifacts that nobody's supposed to go to, but everybody kind of goes in there looking for salvage and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of post-apocalyptic. It's skirmish gamey, like really small groups of maybe everybody's got like 4 or 5 miniatures, but it's also very narrative based. And then the other one is called Reality's Edge, and it is a cyberpunk skirmish game with like a whole lot of role-playing elements to it. So it's a little bit miniature game, it's a little bit role-playing game, and you know me, I'm a nut for all things cyberpunk.
I'm interested in both of them. You know what game I miss, and then we'll get back onto the show? When I was young growing up, and we were all into role-playing games, like I'm older than you. Mm-hmm. I'm a few years older than you. But you would remember these games, but you're not old enough to remember playing them. But when I was growing up, of course, I got into Dungeons & Dragons, AD&D, old school BattleTech, all of these things. But their TSR for a little while was on fire, just releasing all these different kind of games. And the original ones were Star Frontiers. There was one called Gangbusters, which was like this it was like a
1920s Prohibition era.
That was okay. It was fun. But the one that I really miss playing a lot, and they haven't come out with a real decent version of it, was
Gamma World.
Gamma World? Yeah, Gamma World.
I have played one edition of Gamma World, the edition that was based off the face rip system that they used for Marvel superheroes. Yeah. So I had friends who were very much into the Gamma World games. Mm-hmm. So we played that for a little while. But yeah, there's been so many editions of that. There was...
Now, you could take Savage Worlds and very easily make a Gamma World. Well, you can make anything out of Savage Worlds for the most part. But,
apparently there was a port of Gamma World using the D20 Modern system way back during the D20 Glut that was passable.
They tried to do a 4.0 version of it right before D&D 4.0 came out.
Oh yeah, but it also used like cards.
Yeah, and it sucked bad. And that was like when people saw that, they were like, "Oh, so D&D 4.0 is gonna suck, huh?"
Yeah,
and it did. It was like, man, because I almost got it because I so missed playing Gamma World. And for people who don't know, Gamma World was this post-apocalyptic, way after the nuclear war. Mutants were everywhere, and you could roll up. Like my character was this guy who had like tentacle arms, and he grew tomatoes that were explosive or whatever. I could pull these tomatoes off and throw them and blow stuff up, and there was another guy in the group, and you didn't have to be a mutant. You could be purebred human if you wanted to and stuff. And you were just going out and exploring the wastelands, trying to find, just survive, just get by. And it was a really fun game. It was neat. and I loved playing it, but we didn't get a chance to play it that often, and then just kind of faded in obscurity. And I've always wanted to go back and play that game again, just because. I mean, like we had a guy that he was half bunny, like half rabbit, and he had a cyborg arm with a gun on it and shit. Just really off the wall, kooky characters.
Oh yeah.
And everything went like, I had a guy with tentacles that had explosive tomatoes. It was like, yeah, well, I'm a robot with a cyber arm with a machine gun, and it was just how it was. It was cool. But anyways, so. The other one you're talking about, though, were exclusion zones with alien artifacts and stuff like that. I'd be interested in trying it because
it's apparently the video game, the Stalker video game series is
out of Russia.
Yeah, is very loosely based off of this same short story collection, and so this game is loosely tied to that. But
since we're not following any kind of real topic thing tonight, what was the show? And I did watch it. It was on Amazon. The Loop. That Tales
from the Loop. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to your house and I saw the books that those were based off of, and they were really cool. Then you're like, yeah, this show's coming on Amazon. I did watch it. I only made it about maybe 3/4 of the way through it because it was just a weird show.
It was. So it's funny you bring this up. It's Tales from the Loop is a role-playing game that is based on a narrative art book that was published by a Swedish artist named Simon Stalhag. It's this very Swedish pronunciation that uses the strange letters, and Stalenhag. I'll put links to it in the show notes. And I found his art, and his art is amazing. And then I ordered the role-playing game that came on of it, which is it's kind of got a Stranger Thing vibe to it. In the game, you're supposed to be kids, and you're in this town where there's this government facility that's doing strange research, and all these weird things keep happening. And so they made a TV series on Amazon that's loosely based on the art book. But yeah, it's very surrealist. It's kind of like a Twilight Zone-y thing where every episode's its own story. They're all just loosely connected. But the artwork itself is beautiful. He just recently kickstarted a new art book called The Labyrinth. And I just got the physical book in the mail last week. And holy shit, was it a very intense, creepy, not as lighthearted as the other ones, and probably wasn't the best idea to read at midnight when I was just before bed. Oh, I'll read this, and no, that was a mistake. But again, the artwork was beautiful, and the story was really creepy.
So you've got in the show notes here that you're ready to break down and get HBO Max.
Oh,
have you already done it?
I have already done it. That was just after Christmas, like the week after Christmas. They announced that the entire run of Batman the Animated Series was going to be on HBO Max because of their partnership with Warner Brothers. So that was kind of the thing. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I loved that show. I've wanted to watch that show. They put out a Blu-ray box set a few years ago with the entire series on it, but it was a $150 box set, and it was a limited run. So they sold out really quick on it.
I loved Batman the Animated Series, and my wife and I very much enjoyed the Batman Beyond series. I was really bummed that they didn't do more with Batman Beyond. I did like that they made like a future Justice League, and they brought the character back older to be in the future Justice League. You got it? Did you get it for Wonder Woman 1984?
Well, I mean, I didn't get it specifically for Wonder Woman 84, and that was just... It was when that was released, because I got a deal where I think I paid $69 for 6 months. So I ended up saving like $40 on it, because it's usually like, I think, $17 a month. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I saved a little bit of coin on it. But I mean, that's also like the first or second thing I did was completely rewatch Band of Brothers, because I love Band of Brothers. I do want to go back and rewatch Watchmen. I never finished watching Boardwalk Empire, so I kind of want to go back and finish that.
See, there's not a lot on HBO. We got it. The wife wanted it for Christmas because she wanted to watch Wonder Woman 1984. And there's a lot of like the DC network folded and imploded on itself horribly wrong.
Right. Because
terribly mismanaged, bad idea. They just could not get it. And we're also big fans of the Titans show that's on there. And we're also big fans of Doom Patrol, which is the most fucked up, bizarre, craziest superhero show I've ever watched. And the main reason we watched that show is because it is so bizarre, fucking weird, out there, left field. But I'm a much bigger fan of DC television shows than their movies. And a side note, Wonder Woman 1984 was atrocious. Which bummed me out.
So Lisa and I, my girlfriend, started watching it, and we got about halfway through, and we couldn't do it. It was so painfully like, okay, you want it to be in 1984, and I think there were a lot of subtle things they did in it that were really kind of pushed that it was 1984, but then there was also like a lot of things that kind of broke you out of it, and the story just wasn't that compelling.
The story sucked. The story just sucked, and
Pedro Pascal without his mustache just looks wrong.
It didn't have a lot of action in it. The story there was just a lot of pointless, drawn out moments in it that didn't need to be in there. And it really bummed me out because I really liked the first one.
Christopher Pine coming back under Quantum Leap rules.
You know,
Is it, like, as soon as it was, he looks in the mirror and it's not his face, like, we spent the next 20 minutes going, Ziggy, tell me the odds!
It was bad. It really was. And what really bums me out is I wish I hadn't watched it because, as we all know, Patty Jenkins is going to be doing the Rogue Squadron movie. And I'm like, ooh, ow, ugh. Like,
oh, no, yeah.
It's no secret at this point that we all, if it isn't obvious by now from the last couple of episodes, everything we've done, we really like the direction that Star Wars is going now. And when they announced Patty Jenkins, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm on board with this. And then then Wonder Woman 1984 comes along, and it's like, ooh, man.
Oh,
now,
see, I'm not even worried about it. I mean, like, this is clearly, at least from the look of it, another episode or another issue of the studios being their own worst enemy. It's like, they rushed this into production. They rushed the contracts. They hadn't even contracted people to do another movie. It was just Wonder Woman did so fabulously. It's kind of like Ghostbusters 2. They didn't do it because they wanted to tell another story. They did it because they needed to make another Ghostbusters movie because Ghostbusters made a shitload of money. So I look at Wonder Woman 1984 the same way I look at Ghostbusters 2. It's like, yeah, it's a Ghostbusters movie, but did we need it?
Yeah, there's.
I rather would have them.
You know what, I won't go into that now because it'll take us way off topic. So
I rather would have them taken an extra year or two to come up with a cohesive idea for what they wanted to do with the DC movie franchise, because DC still has no idea what the fuck they're going to do with their franchise. They're kind of just floundering and hoping something catches.
You know what's fucked up? At this point, you would think they would, because it's been quite a while since Justice League movie, since Aquaman. You know, like they're still putting the Flash out there. They have announced a Batman Beyond movie that Michael Keaton is going to be in, so that's positive. But again, this is typical, like, just stuff all over. Like, let's just throw a whole bunch of shit at a wall, and then what sticks, we'll try to draw a line between what sticks.
Right.
And
the Birds of Prey movie was not good.
No, it was not. It was. I think I made it about 20 minutes into that movie and said, nah, fuck this noise. I'm done. So
like for some reason they're still going ahead with Suicide Squad 2, despite the dismal failure that the first one was.
Well, okay, hold on. There's again this. I know where this is going to lead me because they did it to Patty Jenkins. The guy who's directing that was the one that directed, and his name just completely. There's people out there screaming right now. The guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy, that
James Gunn.
James Gunn, thank you. He's the one that's doing Suicide Squad too, because when he left Disney and Marvel, DC was like, hey, come on over here, let's talk. Let's do this. Now the problem is if they leave him alone and let him make a movie and stay out of the way, it'll probably be okay, which is kind of what happened with Wonder Woman. Warner Brothers really didn't stick their nose in it too much, but you could tell Warner Brothers was involved with the fight scenes and stuff. But it was okay. It wasn't that bad. Aquaman, it was okay. Where Wonder Woman 1984, it's like you said, clearly these Warner Brothers got into the way here and just mucked up the works. So there is a chance that it can be okay. That movie might work out.
It's very clear that the whole idea of I shouldn't say that. It was very clear what I felt when I watched Wonder Woman 1984 was the whole plot of this movie revolved around some backhand way to have Christopher Pine come back. Was okay, we need that to be the thing that carries the movie, and then we just write the rest of the plot around that. So that's how we got this magic phallic-looking wishing stone, and everything happens because that's what she uses to wish to bring Steve back. I forget his last name.
I believe that was what was in the comic book as well, but the way that they handled it was different. The character was actually able to do that, but they had to make it work with the stone or whatever. But now that you say that, I think they just went, you know what, we need to have him come back. How do we do this? How do we shoehorn in this, make it work?
And I think that did a disservice to everybody else in the movie. That movie would have been no worse off without Christopher Pine in it. No offense.
Yeah, he really didn't serve a whole lot of purpose. The only thing that he did was, you have to make a decision to let me go. And it was like...
She kind of did that in the first movie, and we were done. We didn't have to have this... We didn't have to bring this out and retread this whole ground. And I think the movie was, in my opinion, it was poorer for that. I would have rather seen just a movie of Gal Gadot being Wonder Woman.
See, now at this point, me and the wife really are like, well, we really don't need HBO Max anymore because... there's nothing really new in the pipe that we haven't seen already or are interested. Like, I might go back and rewatch Westworld because I liked Westworld. The last season was pretty wonky, but I still watched it. I still enjoyed it for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
But there's not a lot of stuff on there right now that we're kind of like, we're looking at HBO Max going, how much are we paying for this? Do we really need this? Why don't we just cancel it until, the stuff that we do want to see, like Doom Patrol and... Yeah,
they're talking... I do want to sit down and watch the His Dark Materials series.
Like, now, you've got on your show notes here, and I'll steal your thunder, the possible HBO sequel series for Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, that is something I've seen a lot come up in the last couple of days. I don't know how firm the rumors are, but it is definitely something I'd like to see. I mean, Kevin Conroy needs work. I think Mark Hamill has said... multiple times he's done being the Joker because it's destroying his voice. But, and then he comes back and he does another thing with him being the Joker. So who knows?
Well, he also said he was done with Star Wars. So, he came back and did the Luke thing. And
I tell you,
probably would again.
Do you know what I want to see? I want to see an animated Star Wars series based on Han Solo with Mark Hamill doing his Harrison Ford impression for Han Solo.
I've never heard that impression.
Oh my God. He did it on a couple of talk shows and it's just so spot on of like the kind of groany Harrison, like really old man crotchety Harrison Ford accent.
Now, something like that would be possible because they are doing the What If series, which is all cartoon, but the actors that played the characters in the movies are coming back to voice those roles in the What If series.
Yeah, so do like a Star Wars What If.
Yeah, well, not even Star Wars What If. They could do a Han Solo show. They could do a young Luke Skywalker cartoon about what he was doing, in those years building up to, the side missions and things like that. And I think I'd be okay with it, if it was like, like a six, like they're doing with, like what they're doing with Wanda Vision, which we're going to get to, like it's only going to be 9 episodes long and that's it,
Yeah.
So they could actually get these people back, with the exception of Carrie Fisher, of course, but they could get some of these people back to do a show like that. And I'd be happy with that,
Right.
And I think that they would come back and do. I don't know if Harrison Ford would, because he's kind of curmudgeon-y, but I think Luke would, because or Mark Hamill, I should say, he'd come back and do Luke, because when they initially announced that all the characters are coming back for the new the last series of Star Wars movies, like, he was on board completely. He was super stoked about it. He couldn't wait to do it.
Like, the only person who didn't want to do it was Harrison Ford, and then they went, here is a giant. Here is a comically large bag of money. Yeah. And even then he was like, I don't want to do it. And they're like, we'll kill you in the first movie. He's like, I'm in. Yeah. Because he wanted Han Solo to die in Return of the Jedi, and was upset that they didn't do it.
Let's finish up the whole HBO Max thing, because you've also got in here for Godzilla versus King Kong. I have not yet watched this trailer. See, I didn't see the last Godzilla movie, though, so...
Oh, King of Monsters was pretty good.
Is it on HBO Max?
It probably is.
All right, I might watch it then. Well, Godzilla looks all right. So far, it looks good. The little girl talking with Kong is a little odd, but hey, whatever. And there's Godzilla. Godzilla! It looks... pretty Michael Bay-ish. It looks like a Warner Brothers movie, I'll put it that way. King Kong sees Godzilla in the water, gets pissed, slams. Oh, look at that. Okay. Godzilla's out there hurting people and we don't know why. Because he's a fucking monster, that's why.
He was never really on our side. He just was kind of fighting the same.
Later to the little Mothra chicks came in. Oh, this looks good. I think I might be in this.
I'm still trying to figure out where King Kong gets a giant axe.
Yeah, well, it's Warner Brothers, that's where. Warner Brothers gave him an axe, that's why. Yeah, this looks all right. Oh, Kong's just like, nope, fuck your dragon breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. I'm digging it. I'll see this. If it's on HBO Max, I don't have to go to the movie theater since I'm already paying for it. I'll give it a shot. Hell, I might even watch this with you.
Yeah, so this is... there was a lot of talk when Warner Brothers announced that they were going to dual release all of their movies, essentially, for 2021... on HBO Max and at the movie theaters. So, but there was a problem because Legendary said that they didn't want to be part of that deal, which meant specifically that Godzilla vs. Kong and Dune would not be co-released. Ambivalent towards Godzilla vs. Kong, but damn, I want to see Dune.
Yeah, Dune pisses me off because me and you, we've talked about this multiple times.
So this week, or not this week, but over these last couple of weeks, they've reversed that decision, and now they have officially said that Godzilla vs. Kong will co-release on HBO Max the same time it releases in the theaters, which I think is May of this year. But yeah. So that means we likely will get Dune on HBO Max and on the movie theaters. But I mean, the thing is, I'm probably still going to go see Dune at the movies.
Yeah, I think I would rather see it there. Just for the cinematic, like Godzilla vs. Kong looks like it would be great cinematic, but it's still a little, I'm not ready to go to a movie theater yet.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still, Godzilla vs. Kong wasn't a movie I would have gone, or wasn't a pandemic. I still don't think I would have gone full on movie theater to see it. Like, maybe if it was a couple of weeks later and it was like a matinee and some guys want, it's like, yeah, maybe I'll go. But I mean, I wouldn't go see it like right when it came out. I mean, I like Godzilla, but I'm not so into it that I'd have to do that.
I am 100% agreeing with you on that. I know for a fact, absolutely, that I would not go see Godzilla vs. Kong in a movie theater if it were in the movie theater. HBO Max, I already have it. Sure, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched any of the new Godzilla movies in a movie theater. I think I've watched all of them at home. Mm-hmm. That actually brings something we can talk about, because that was still in the era where we could rent movies. And
that's right.
Yeah, Family Video, which we have a couple of in this area, the last national chain video rental store, finally went out of business.
Yeah, the one by me is still in the process of closing, but I haven't had any urge to go in there and get anything. So, I just don't. It's like, all right, whatever. But I mean, they had a good run. The only time that I think I ever used them within the last 5-6 years is when I go up to when I go hunting up in northern Michigan, the town by where our cabin is, they had a family video there. So when we got back from the day of being out in the woods or, doing whatever, we'd go into town and we'd get a couple of movies. That's where we went to the last John Wick movie.
Yeah.
And we'd sit at the cabin and they had an old school Xbox up there and a decent sized TV. So we'd sit around at night and we'd go to family video and rent movies and watch them there, and that's probably the only time, because up there there's nothing up there. There's no cable up there. It's
yeah, I mean, I don't even know if you'd be able to get a signal strong enough for streaming. I remember mainly using video stores, not so much to watch new movies, but for old obscure movies. Mm-hmm. When it was Halloween and we wanted to watch Rocky Horror, we'd go and we'd rent Rocky Horror. When, we had to show somebody Time Bandits, that's where you'd go to get a copy of Time Bandits and watch, because before the age of the internet, finding all those movies, unless it randomly appeared in a, video store where you could buy it, for the most part, the only way you'd find those movies was at a rental place.
I'm wondering, the name Blockbuster Video still has some weight to it. Like when Captain Marvel came out, she crashes to the roof of a Blockbuster Video, and everybody was like, oh, yeah, Blockbuster Video.
I remember that.
Yeah. I'm wondering at this point, if somebody were to revive that name and do some kind of a streaming service or something with it, if it could be a success just on name brand recognition and alone, if they were to reinvent it.
So on this note, there is a movie coming to Netflix called Space Sweepers.
I saw a little bit of that, but it's overdub, isn't it?
Yeah, it's dubbed. It's a Japanese movie, or no, it's not dubbed. It's subtitled, but it's a Japanese movie. And I mean, they'll probably have an English dubbing of it, but the trailer I saw it's in Japanese with subtitles. So yeah,
subtitles are hard for me.
But
overdub I could do, but ugh.
It's a sci-fi show set in the future around Earth, and it's about a misfit crew in a ship that collects space junk for profit. And the trailer for it is amazing. There is an android that's part of the crew, and at one point the android is sitting in a Hawaiian shirt on the outside of the ship in a lawn chair while the ship's going through space.
When does this show start?
It's dropping on Netflix, I want to say February 4th. So the first week of February, it'll be on Netflix. But yeah, it looks good. It's got a it feels a lot like it's got the humor of Firefly in it. The space action looks really clean. So it's got flavors of The Expanse, flavors of Firefly, flavors of Cowboy Bebop. I'm really excited to give it a watch.
You know what? I'll watch it.
Oh yeah, and it's
our buddies over at Jake and Tom and have them watch it, and then you guys can sit down and do a thing on it or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Because I did just start watching Cobra Kai too. Me and the wife sat down and watched Cobra Kai yesterday. So I'm fiending for new stuff to watch. Subtitles are hard, but I'll do it.
So you could watch The Expanse.
Come on.
Season 5 just finished. So, and they've already greenlight season 6. So
I thought it was supposed to be done after 5.
No, season 6. So the way the way the books are laid out. So the first 2 books kind of tell an interwoven story. Then the second 2 books tell an interwoven story. And then the next 3 books tell a story. So the
all of the books tell a story.
Well, it's so so they say there's
pretty
2
groundbreaking for a book.
There's 2 duologies and then a trilogy. And then after that, it's the book series time jumps 20 years. So where season 6 will end up is just before the time jump for book 7. Speaking of Cowboy Bebop, I just finally I had pre-ordered before Christmas, They did a re-release of the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack on vinyl, and it was lost in the port for like an extra 6 weeks, and I just finally got it like a week or two ago, so I'm super psyched about that.
You have a model from that show, right? Which model do you have? You have Faye Valentine's ship, don't you?
No, I have the Swordfish 2.
Okay.
Bandai made a couple of model kits based on it. They made the Swordfish 2, which is Spike's ship, and then I forget what Faye's ship is called, but they made her ship. Hers they made in a much smaller quantity, and that is like a $100+ model if you try and find a kit of it on the internet somewhere. Spikes you can find, but they made a lot more of it, and I think I paid like $40 for it.
Have you heard anything at all about anything that's going on with the Netflix adaptation of it?
I have not. Not since we mentioned it in an episode before, and there was some talk of it. I know somebody hurt themselves pretty bad in production, and then COVID hit, and so it's kind of in limbo with shooting. There's a lot of stuff that was in various stages of production that either ground to a halt or is just on indefinite hiatus while they figure out how to film stuff in the age of COVID.
Yeah, I hope that show doesn't. I hope it doesn't go by the wayside, and B, I hope it's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action that they're going to do on Netflix. I know in the beginning the original people from Avatar were involved with the production of the show, and then they left later on saying that they had a difference of opinion about direction, and that kind of scares me. But so it's like there's all these really cool series that me and you care about, but we're not hearing anything about them. The last I heard about the Cowboy Bebop show was that the guy who played, I believe it was Sulu in the last series of Star Trek movies.
He's the one who's playing Spike Spiegel. He also
he's
played
a good choice.
He also played Harold in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yep, I think he's a
Cho.
good choice for it.
I think that's his name.
John Cho.
Yeah.
Now I haven't heard anything at all about who's other than we've seen the picture of Vine.
Yeah.
But I don't know who's playing any of the other characters at all. You know, I haven't heard anything about it, and it's kind of like Bebop is probably one of my absolute favorite shows.
Yeah, but I mean,
I've got
it's
all of them on CD.
Oh
on
yeah,
DVD.
I've got
the movie.
I've got the Blu-ray set of the whole series, like we just mentioned.
Yeah.
I have the soundtrack on vinyl. My daughter's kind of getting into anime now, but like the new anime. So like she's watching stuff like My Hero Academia, Naruto, all those anime.
Give her a year or two, and she'd probably embrace Bebop pretty well.
Well, that's the thing. She was on Discord talking with some of her friends, and they were watching a channel where somebody was playing anime music on, I think, a violin, and people had to guess what she was playing or what song she was doing. And one of the things she didn't know was they were playing, I think, Tank, the opening to Cowboy Bebop. So she asked me about it, and she's like, well, you like Cowboy Bebop? I'm like, yes, child. When, like, soon we will sit down and we will watch some Cowboy Bebop because I love Cowboy Bebop. And that got me
into Samurai Champloo because the guy who voiced Spike also is one of the voices in Samurai Champloo.
Yeah.
And I really liked that show as well. The problem with Samurai Champloo is they didn't release all of the episodes in English. There's some of them that are still in Japanese that are overdubbed. And I bit the bullet and I watched them. Because I really got into Samurai Champloo a lot. I did it purely because of the voices.
Yeah. My thing is, so like my anime tastes are very much skewed to the sci-fi anime. Especially cyberpunk anime. So Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, and the various Ghost in the Shell series. Not huge into Gundam, very selective.
Never could get into it either. Yeah. I've got friends that are Gundam fanatics, and I gave it a shot, didn't like it. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's very select Gundam that I like. But like I remember watching when the Sci-Fi Channel aired Akira, and like that blew my mind that holy shit, this is what anime can be, where it's like just as good as Blade Runner and all that. I still have no idea what the movie's about. I'm just as confused about the plot as all my friends are, and I'm 40 years old, but damn, I love watching that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ghost in the Shell, the opening sequence for Ghost in the Shell with that music and the collage of the city and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Ghost in the Shell 2, I didn't like so much, but I do like the animated series that they did a lot. And I really didn't mind the Scarlett Johansson movie that much either. I didn't think it was that bad. I think it got a lot more shit than it should have because of the purists and stuff. The big thing was it was Scarlett Johansson was obviously an American and not Asian. Did you watch Battle Angel Alita, the actual live action movie?
No, I haven't, and I've really wanted to. It's just one of those things I've never sat down to watch.
It's good. It's not bad.
I know they're really petitioning hard to do a second one.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was bad at all. I went into it kind of like, yeah, okay. But Cameron was behind it, James Cameron. And I think you'd really like it because you're like me, you're cyberpunk. When I was younger, I was really hardcore cyberpunk, but now that I've gotten older, I'm not as cyberpunk anymore. Like when I go back and listen to the William Gibson books, they don't hold me the same way as they did when I was much younger. Probably because I discovered Brown and started paying attention to steampunk.
No,
but I don't fault it. I mean, it still holds a very place in my. It's one of those like lost loves that but that person still holds a place in your heart. That's kind of what cyberpunk is to me now.
Cyberpunk is. A lot of people think that it's so heavily tied to the 80s that like how can you tell a cyberpunk story when cyberpunk was all about like the way things were in the 80s. It was all about how powerful corporations were and like how technology was going to take over everybody's lives. And it's like,
but it did, and they are.
It kind of came true. I mean, it's not as gritty, but it's still like the overarching, if you sum up cyberpunk in one sentence, the agreed kind of motto is high tech, low life. It's this idea.
Here's a question for you.
Okay.
And I hope you don't edit this stuff out of the show because we're having great conversations here. If they were to do modern cyberpunk with the technology that we have now, what would be the next phase if they were to continue doing cyberpunk? What would cyberpunk be now? Because we know what it was, but now we have all of the cell phones and the technology.
So
we still don't have. Well, we do have robotic arms, but not the way that they're presented.
If you want to know what cyberpunk is right now, there is a book called Moxieland that was written by Lauren Bukes, and I found it about, it would be about 10 years ago now when Barnes & Noble, or Borders was going out of business. I bought it, and I bought it just because it was had a endorsement on it from William Gibson, and it is a great like what we are now talk about cyberpunk. So in this, it's everything instead of like the weird tech of like having your cyber deck and all these implants. Your identity is tied to your phone, literally. So your SIM card is your personal identification for the world.
So it's a Tron disk.
Kind of, but like if you are not supposed to have access to a building, the door reads your RFID card and it just won't open for you because you're not allowed to be in that building. To be able to, everywhere you are, the government pings where you are because they have your phone. You pay for everything through your phone. You open doors through your phone. You need to have your phone to live. So the way people skirt the system is by having jailbroken phones with secondary SIM cards, and doing things like that. It talks about...
Here's the problem with that. If that's the way that society runs, I wouldn't want to have a phone. I would want to have all that stuff directly implanted in me in some way, shape, or form, so I don't have a chance of losing it. Yes, I get into an accident, I lose my arm, etc. There would be exceptions for that. But the idea of carrying an external device that can be broken or destroyed or something like that...
Well, no, you'd want it to be that. Because technology is going to upgrade. Like, do you want to have to replace your eye every 6 months to get the newest model like you do your phone? Do you want to have a surgery to implant the hardware every time, like, planned obsolescence happens? Think about how often you replace your phone and realize if you had all of that as an onboard cybernetic, how often you would have to get it replaced.
Easy. It's a module. You pop it out, pop the new one in.
Right.
Same as a phone. But it's part of you, so you don't have the option of somebody. It's a lot harder to lose it or for something to happen to you because you literally always have it with you because it is on you. It is part of you. And at that point, it would just be a module that the newest blah, blah, blah module's out, pop in. Once you hit a certain age, boom, you have the surgery and you have the implant or you have whatever you have, and then boom, you're done and move on.
Yeah, no, it's more to the ethos of cyberpunk is the ethos of disposable technology, about always having the newer, better thing. So it's easier to have that ethos when it's a piece of technology that you just throw away the old one.
All right.
But also in that book, they talk about the idea of corporate branding becoming a personal identity. A soft drink company pays this pop star to have nanite implants in her that are like the logo of, make her skin have the logo of their brand. But as she goes on, she realizes that it's also making her, she's addicted to the company's brand of soda, and she's having to drink it all the time because these nanite implants in her that are the company is paying her to have are making her constantly crave the company's product.
So basically, I guess we kind of already have modern cyberpunk out there in the form of like the show Black Mirror or something along those lines. Even kind of Tales from the Loop for the most part, because Tales from the Loop was somewhat, Black Mirror-esque.
So going back to what I was saying about high-tech, low-life, like realize that that's where we are all living right now. Like you have people who don't have a home and are living out of their car, but they still have a laptop, they still have a cell phone, because in order to exist in this world, you have to have those things. So you have pulling up to a Starbucks and being in the lobby or being in the parking lot and stealing the Wi-Fi so kids can do homework. You have people who are working or like you have like 20-something people who realize that they're never going to live the American dream of like owning their own home, and they're working their minimum wage job because that's what's available to them. But instead of investing in their future of putting off money, they're taking the money they earn and spending it to buy the conveniences of the moment. Because in the end, that's what makes their life bearable, is the little conveniences. And that's the idea of cyberpunk, is the idea of no future, of the idea of finding what makes you happy in the moment, because you know you don't have a future.
What's funny is they interviewed William Gibson years later about what he did for cyberpunk, and he didn't necessarily create it, but he did define it to an extent. And he said that everything that he was doing, he didn't really think it was that spectacular. He was basing everything he did about what the world would be like if it functioned completely off of Reaganomics.
Right. And he said for all of the foretelling he did about like how, like literally inventing the term cyberspace, but the one thing he beats himself the most about in his books is that he failed to account for the obsolescence of the payphone. Because in Neuromancer, there's a scene where the main character is trying to be called by this AI, and he's walking down a hallway in an airport, and as he walks by his phone, every phone rings as he walks by it, and it's all the payphones. And he says, with everything else that he wrote, just having payphones in it dates it as being obsolete more than the idea of having direct neural interface computers, the idea of having space stations where people treat it like a duty-free zone and people live there because they're tax shelters. All those ideas that are so still relevant, he is still upset because he didn't figure out that payphones were going to go the way of the dodo.
You know what, though? I give him a pass on that because, I mean, of all the things he got right to get something like that wrong, whatever. You know? So, let's move on to Wanda Vision. God, I feel like I'm directing the whole show tonight.
No, I mean, well, you're directing the show as in you're looking at the diagram and just moving down the diagram.
Which is weird because I've made it a point to never look at your show notes. But being that we're not in person with one another,
you have to look at my show notes.
But it works. It just works. It's amazing. It's working. So WandaVision, you have watched the first 2 episodes.
So yeah,
I've watched all 3.
Last weekend, I sat down and watched the 2 episodes. From what it looks like every episode they're moving forward a decade. So like the first episode was like the 1950s sitcom of like I Love Lucy, and then the next episode it moves forward to like the 1950s with like
Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
All those shows. Here's the funny thing. Dick Van Dyke, they brought him in to consult on those shows. The first episode that was in black and white, they literally filmed that with those styles of cameras.
Let me tell you, the fact that it was in a 4:3 aspect ratio just drove me insane. As someone who deals with video projection and aspect ratios and making things fit on screens, like seeing
ADD, huh?
seeing a 4:3 aspect ratio image on a 16:9 aspect ratio TV set is like nails on a chalkboard to my video production soul.
I loved it. I loved it because they embraced all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they filmed it in black and white, they had to paint his skin. I think it was a green color or a blue color to be able to make it look the way that it did.
Oh yeah. There's an amazing picture. I will try to throw it in the show notes of what the Addams Family set looked like in color. And
really?
Yeah. And the set was mainly pinks and pastels, like these really kind of pastel-y colors, but that was what made it look dark and dreary in black and white. Mm-hmm. So it was a super interesting picture.
I thought it was crazy that they brought Dick Van Dyke in to consult on it.
Oh yeah,
which was cool because Dick Van Dyke has a history with Disney, but apparently Dick Van Dyke had no idea of the scope and the popularity of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and superheroes and all of those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, because
apparently he was blown away by it.
Oh, I was super happy when I took the kids to see the Mary Poppins Returns and Dick Van Dyke was in it. Like just to know that he's still just as wonderful as he always been. Like, God bless Dick Van Dyke.
And he's even though he's old, it's still Dick Van Dyke.
Oh
it's still like the guy's always happy and he's in
his late 80s and he's doing a song and dance number in the movie because he's Dick Van Dyke and he can do that.
Yeah. But back to WandaVision. On the whole, I'm really enjoying the series. Like, you can tell what's going on, though. Like, everybody's like, oh, what's going on here? If you watch the previews, you know what's going on for the most part. She's taken this town. She's altered reality in it. And she's more or less controlling everybody in this town and altering the town. And the people, to an extent, they know it, but they have no control over it or whatever. Right. And SWORD, which used to be S.H.I.E.L.D., is trying to break into this town to figure out what the hell is going on. And there's a barrier surrounding the town and so forth. So what she's doing is she's recreated reality within the scope of this town, within this force field, so she can have Vision back and have a life. And she's basing her life off of all of these sitcoms. Now, what's funny is they are actually going to do a Full House spoof at some point or another coming up.
Yeah, because like I said, if they're progressing through the TV ages, eventually they'll get to the 90s.
And what's cool is they've really embraced the weird, which like I said, I watch Doom Patrol, so Doom Patrol is weird. Like, WandaVision is not that weird, but like, I'm really enjoying the show, but it's not like anything that I have ever seen Marvel do before in any way, shape, or form. This is so completely different, and I kind of like it. It's being done well. It looks good. It looks like, you can tell that they have no problem spending money on these shows, as obvious by the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like that promo was just insane. I'm like, this is a television show, and you guys are doing this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But you look at The Mandalorian, the last season of The Mandalorian, and you go, okay, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, but, we're going to see movie level production for these online limited series.
And again, it goes back and just kicks Warner Brother DC's ass.
Yeah.
So, but this also, like, these shows are what's going to kickstart the next process of the Marvel movies, because Doctor Strange is going to show up in this one, and the WandaVision show is directly going to tie into what's going on in Doctor Strange, and it's going to tie into what's going on with Spider-Man, because it opens up these alternate realities and tapping into these alternate worlds, and this is what's setting the stage for that.
Yeah, so I definitely feel like, so with the first overarching narrative of the first phases of Marvel was all about the Infinity Gauntlet, and I think what they've chosen is that the next overarching narrative of Marvel is going to be about the multiverse. It's going to be about all these alternate realities and how they fit in together. Because it's very clearly, it looks like the next Spider-Man movie is a Spider-Verse movie.
Oh, yeah.
With the amount of people coming in for it.
Confirmed that Matt Murdock is going to be in it. He's been spotted on set. They have filmed his scenes. Now, not Daredevil, but Matt Murdock. And you know that Peter Parker needs a lawyer. Mm-hmm. So, and that is supposed to apparently tie into the whole She-Hulk series that's coming. So here's the thing. Like, the greater plan for what's going on with Marvel does not look very exciting to me. I don't care at all about the Eternals. I don't care about Fang-Xing or whatever the hell his name is.
Shang-Chi. So. Yeah, I'm the same way. I've got zero interest in seeing the Eternals. I've got zero interest in seeing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
The next Captain Marvel movie, not really interested at all. I'll see Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, that's mainly they've announced that Matt Damon is attached to Thor: Love and Thunder.
Matt Damon.
Which all I want is for them to continue the arc of his cameo in Thor Ragnarok. So just to explain that away and like somehow take that character and do more with it.
What I'm curious about is that Chris Evans has been announced that he is returning as Cap. I'm wondering what they're going to do with that or how they're going to do it. There's all kinds of rumors. There's rumors that, yes, this is what's going to shelter in or bring in Wolverine. And Wolverine is going to be what Captain America was to the Avengers. Wolverine is going to be the character that like brings the X-Men. And that's also this show, the WandaVision show, is also supposed to be what brings the X-Men into the Marvel.
Yeah, because this definitely has like the feel of the House of M, where
absolutely, yeah.
I can't say I don't think I've actually read the whole House of M
in the comic book than she is in WandaVision. And WandaVision, like I don't think she realizes, she knows what she's doing, but I don't think she realizes the effect that it's having.
Mm-hmm.
Like for her, she's like, she just wants to be happy. She wants to have Viz back. She wants to have a normal life, but she doesn't, I don't think she understands on the level of what she's doing. Now the questions, the overarching question, like, cause it's WandaVision, it's a funny show and stuff, but it's not an action show. There's
no. And it's a very cerebral show. It's very, It's very much about, like, you have to be looking for all the little things because the story isn't being told in the plot of the show. The show's being told in all the little things that are happening in the plot.
Yeah, because she slips, and then she realizes what's going on. She has these moments where she's like, no, this isn't, like when the guy comes out of the manhole cover.
Right.
And she goes, no, and she resets it. There's a couple other scenes. I don't want to give too much away for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but there's a couple of times where things happen, and she's like, no, I don't know. I'm not letting this happen. I want this to be like, this is what I want. And like, she's not doing it to be evil. She just doesn't understand she doesn't completely understand what she's doing for the most part. So one of the overarching questions, I'm not so much concerned of what's going on here. We all know what's going on, but it's like, how did she become so powerful to be able to do this kind of stuff? What led to her creating this? And on top of that, like, what a bad reference, but what is the end game for what's going on here? How does this eventually end?
Well, there's
got to be some kind of a villain or something in the show that's pulling the strings or doing something in the background.
The more interesting thing for me is going to be how will they use WandaVision to reconcile the dual identities of the Scarlet Witch as a non-mutant and as a mutant. So are they going to
answer it?
Yeah,
the show answers it.
Is it going to be that she was not a mutant, mutants didn't exist, she was empowered by the Infinity Stone and used her powers and created mutants?
Well,
or is it going to be she was a mutant but didn't have powers as a mutant until she was empowered by the Infinity Stone, and now she is a super powerful mutant and uses that to activate all the latent mutants around the world?
Here's the thing with this. Marvel, because of what was going on before all of this with Fox owned the right to mutants and any kind of reference to the term mutants. So Marvel went, okay, fuck you. They're Inhumans.
Yeah.
The Kree came here a long time ago, genetically experimented on humans. They
were going to set up as Inhumans instead of mutants through the Inhumans. It was originally going to be a movie run through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it imploded so badly.
Well, they did that show, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
It pissed everybody off. It was horrible, because Inhumans were kind of a cool comic book. So that was just Marvel going, okay, well, this is where the rift between Marvel Television and Marvel movies took place.
Yeah.
And now that Feige runs everything, it's all on the same page now. But Marvel was just like, all right, fine, you won't give us the mutants? Fuck you. This is what we're going to do, and we don't need you and your mutants anymore. For the most part.
We're going to start our own MCU.
With blackjack and hookers.
Hookers, yeah, it'll be great. And now that they have the X-Men and the mutants and all of these people want these kinds of things to happen, then they'll be fine. But the problem is, how are they going to retcon what they already established? Which.
And now for something completely different.
Tangentially related to this, the new era of Star Wars novels have come out, the High Republic era. Went to Barnes & Noble after we got out of quarantine because I had received a gift card for my birthday or for Christmas, and I really wanted to use it. I almost bought it there, but I knew it's like, I can get this on Amazon whenever I want. I enjoy going to Barnes & Noble more to pick up stuff I just discovered.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
And I hate going there to...
Cool, I didn't know I need this.
Right. It's like, I don't go to Barnes & Noble when the new Dresden Files book comes out, because I know that, and I'm going to pre-order it. I go to Barnes & Noble when I've got $50 in my pocket and I want to find a new author. So
that's why I miss bookstores so much. I love going to Barnes & Noble to see new and different things. You can't get that experience by going onto Amazon or barnesandnoble.com.
Although I was super excited because one of the YouTube channels I watched did a book review about a book. And then I went to go buy it off Amazon and it was completely sold out. So I was bummed. And like 2 days later, we went to Barnes & Noble, and I bought their last copy of it. And if anybody's wondering what that book is, it is The White Sniper. It is a biography of Simu Heiha, the deadliest sniper in the history of warfare.
I know I'm wrong, but I think of the Russian sniper.
Nope, not even close. Over a period of 90 days, Simu Heiha has just over 500 confirmed kills.
Damn. Wow.
They averaged it out to he was killing 5 to 10 Russian soldiers a day. And he did that in the winters of Finland with a Mosin Nagant rifle, no scope.
Love Mosins.
Yeah, no scope, and just in the woods. Just him. The Russians gave him the name the White Death. And
that's why it's popping into my head.
Yeah. Towards the end of those 90 days, if they believed he was in a forest, they would artillery shell the forest because they had sent snipers after him, and he killed every last sniper that came for him. So they were just to the point where if they thought he was in the woods, they would carpet bomb him. He took a explosive round from an artillery piece to the face. They found him, went to a Russian, he was taken to a hospital, and the day he was released from the hospital was the day the Russians surrendered, or didn't surrender, but essentially decided they no longer wanted to invade Finland.
Wow.
Yeah. And he lived, I I think he passed away in like the 90s. So yeah, he lived to a ripe old age.
Damn.
Yeah. In the history of badasses, he's up there.
Guy, to be able to have that many confirmed kills for being a sniper, it's like...
And like I said, no scope, iron sights. It was his personal Mosin rifle, so he knew its quirks. But I mean, like, it wasn't like it was a hand-fitted, dedicated sniper rifle. This was his personal rifle. He would keep snow in his mouth so his breath didn't give out. And he attributed the fact of he was able to kill so many counter snipers because they were looking through scopes, and the extra time it would take them to acquire him in their scope, he had already zeroed him.
Yeah, I've got no... I don't know. What do you say to something like that, you know?
What we're going to say to that is we're closing out. There is a German... I think they're German, metal group called Sabaton. They write these heavy metal songs that are all inspired by old historic battles or people, and they have a song just about Simu, and it's called The White Death. So we're gonna wrap up the credits today, and we're gonna play out with some Sabaton. But this is John,
and this is Rojan from Detroit.
End of line.
Sniper sight, the first kill tonight, time to die.